to the BigRedwBSchneid show. Guys, the channel continues to grow, nearly 120 subscribers. Please contribute once again, and I truly appreciate it. Let's reach 200 by the end of the year. Anyway, let's get started. Jim, we're going to break down a little bit of Nebraska at UCLA. I know it's over a week ago, but what were your takeaways there? We kind of talked afterwards, and then I also want to look at Penn State as well.
Well, statistically, I think the fun part about this team is in the past 3 years, or at least last couple of years, Nebraska's been able to outstat a lot of teams and lose the games. Well, they're able to win these close ones and even ones that they lose it by a minor advantage. So,
yeah, we got to hear from. We're taping this on Tuesday. Got to hear from Dana Holgorsen today. One thing I thought that was interesting that he said, and I know the run-to-pass ratio is significantly favoring the run, but he said that TJ Lateef told him pregame that just call it like you would if Dylan was in there, and that's what he did. And that's my biggest question is what TJ Lateef are we going to see this Saturday?
I think Lateef looked way wiser than his games, or whatever, however you want to put that. I mean, he looked like he had a lot more experience than what he shows, or what he actually has clock time. So it'd be fun to see how against probably, I think, a much better defense in Penn State, how well he audibles, or if he does, and things like that, and what the game plan that Dana calls for him.
I got to ask you, so another night kick. This is Nebraska's fourth night game and 5 road games this season. Do you think that plays a factor, or do you think that it actually plays more of a benefit to Nebraska in a way, considering Penn State's down this year, and the fact that I just personally, playing football in my career, love playing in the night?
Well, it beats the hell out of the 11 o'clock crap they stuck us with for the past couple of years. So, I don't know. Nebraska's had a long week. I think, Penn State's going to have a big fan base. They always do.
But the thing is, right now, tickets are going for as cheap as $5. I've seen.
You're kidding.
Well, but that's because Penn State's 4-6. But then again, Matt Rhule, Dana said it today. Dana said, I don't care that they're a 4-6 football team. This is a good football team. And yeah, on paper, Nebraska is outmatched. There's a reason Penn State was number 1 and 2 preseason, for a reason, by many.
Oh yeah, definitely. Penn State's got way better athletes than Nebraska right now. Did you see that? What's his name? The coach, ex-coach, found a job, I think.
Yeah, James Franklin. Yesterday it was announced he is going to be the next head coach at Virginia Tech. So it's definitely a step down to go from the Big Ten at Penn State to go to Virginia Tech, who's had a good football program at times, but you're in the ACC. I'm an ACC hater. I think the ACC is the worst football conference of the Power Four. I just don't think their level of play is remotely close to the SEC or the Big Ten.
Well, maybe. I'm just glad to see. I had quite a bit of respect for James Franklin and still do. So,
yeah, big Franklin homer right here.
Well, I'm not a big Franklin homer, but I think he did a decent job on a program that was pretty badly bruised.
It was kind of similar to, if you think about it, Nebraska firing Frank Solich or even Bo Pelini. Couldn't win the big one, and that's the reason they got fired, or what they say.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of history to Penn State, and still is, and Nebraska, I hope there's going to be some history in the future too. So,
a name to watch this coming Saturday is Danny Dennis Sutton, who leads the Nittany Lions with 5 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. Dude is a beast. Number 33. That's the guy you want to keep an eye off the edge. How do you think Nebraska's offensive tackles will hold up against Dennis Sutton, with considering last week I thought they did, or a couple weeks ago at UCLA, I thought they did really well?
Well, I think Nebraska's line is playing some of their best football they have been, and even against USC, I think they played pretty well, and with TJ in there, it makes it a lot easier to be a lineman at Nebraska, with a little bit more mobile quarterback, and one that can run it and make the defense play a little honest. So.
And now looking at Nebraska's rushing attack, Emmett Johnson, it was announced today, is a finalist for the Doak Walker Award, which goes to the nation's top running back. Do you think that not only should Johnson win the Heisman Trophy, but also, or not the Heisman, not win the Doak Walker, but should maybe be a finalist for the Heisman Trophy? Do you think he's deserving of it?
Well, the Heisman Trophy has turned into something that it shouldn't have ever been. That my kind of a popularity contest or something like the best college football player in the nation. It never was. It's supposed to be the player that's the most meaningful on a team, and so it's kind of lost its luster. Excuse me, kind of like the Nobel Prize or something like that. So I think Emmett definitely has made a big difference in this Nebraska team. So if you're going back to the true heart of what the Heisman Trophy is supposed to be, Emmett makes a big difference in the Nebraska team. Without Nebraska, I think they're definitely hurting more than they would have normally. So, hey, yeah, but that's not what the Heisman is anymore. So.
Well, here's some numbers to put it into perspective. Emmett Johnson ranks top 5 nationally in both yards from scrimmage and rushing yards entering this week. He has 1,431 yards from scrimmage, which leads all power conference players and ranks second nationally on the ground. So with his 1,131 rushing yards. Meanwhile, he has 11 touchdowns on the season to rank 4th in rushing yards per game, 5th in total touchdowns. And then, of course, his 36 receptions out of the backfield is 3rd among all running backs nationally, along with his 300 yards and 3 scores. He's had 6 100-yard rushing performances this year, including the 3 straight 100-yard outings. And on last game against UCLA, he became the first Husker ever to have 100 rushing yards and receiving yards in the same game. So now this finalists will be announced next week. It'll take 3. And where was the other nugget? Oh, Johnson is bidding to become Nebraska's 4th Doak Walker finalist, joining Amir Abdullah 2014, Amon Green 1997, and Calvin Jones in 93. Pretty impressive.
And Jones. Almost forgot that name. He was good.
Yeah, well, he's the one that just passed away this year.
He did, and he was a good man, too.
So I think the thing that I look at with Emmett Johnson, with all these numbers and everything, yes, he's carrying the ball more than a lot of running backs, but at the same time, what would Nebraska's record be if they didn't have Emmett Johnson? I think that's a legitimate question to ask. And you don't have to give a definitive number, but I mean, that's something to think about.
Emmett's a difference maker. Nebraska doesn't have the record this year, and nor have they have the national publicity for Emmett to get the credit that he deserves nationally.
And we were talking about offensive tackles and everything, but I really want to point out something that's been very done well this year by Nebraska's offensive line, and that's their interior line play from Lateef, Evans, and Spindler. Those 3 have been crucial, and I think they deserve some recognition, open up lanes. And meanwhile, how about the perimeter blocking? We've talked about it on the air. Dana Holgorsen said today it's the best he's ever seen from wide receiver group.
Oh, well, yeah, because I think Dana's brought in the message that if you don't block as a receiver, you're not going to play. Which is much different than it was first half of last year's season. So,
and I mean, yeah, they're not getting
big improvement. And by the way, did you see the lineman blocking downfield 2 weeks ago? I mean, that was incredible. What I think Spindler was there in the center. What's his first name?
Justin
Evans. Those guys were 20 yards downfield.
Yeah,
and running, not dogging it.
Absolutely. So when we think about this, there have been people, especially early on in the season, kind of really started after the Michigan game. Well, actually, I even kind of heard it after the Cincinnati game, just people saying, man, I don't think Donovan Rhule is the right coach to coach the Huskers offensive line. I think it's more so they just don't have the guys at tackle right now. I think that Donovan Rhule has proven that he can have a decent offensive line.
Yeah, I got to give it to Corcoran has come in and been Corcoran has been a pretty good surprise coming in for injured Teddy and everybody else. Gatula's out too, right?
Yeah, Gatula's out for the season. He had a knee repair. It wasn't. I think it was like a meniscus or something. Right. But you look at that as a whole, you have to feel pretty well about it. So Justin Evans could come back next year. Of course, you're losing Spindler and Lateef, your 2 guards. But at the same time, you could potentially return Pritchett. You're going to bring back, of course, Gatula. And then you have some young guys like Machachak and stuff. And Sam Sledge coming along. So I feel optimistic. But yet definitely, as we approach the portal season, I highly expect Nebraska to target some offensive linemen.
Well, I do too. Now, Turner... has been he's a senior, but he's been a good surprise coming off the bench. So
Well, now he's starting. He's had to.
and now he's starting because he had to. But I think now his play has been elevated to what he could have been.
Yeah, well,
What should have been.
And what's impressive about Turner is we've seen him line up at left and right tackle positions.
Which not everybody can do.
No,
That's a
because
totally,
you have to do.
footwork.
It's a completely. You flip it completely.
Yeah, so
Everything's
like,
opposite for that. So
it's like how you're right.
Absolutely.
Left-handed and right-handed, that's totally different. He's done good. Give him credit.
Yeah.
We can pick on him. We do plenty of that.
When you're looking at Penn State as well, so they have Amari Campbell, who has he plays linebacker, 76 total tackles. He has 2.5 sacks as well. And they have Zaki Wheatley, safety, who has 64. So they have some other guys. I was kind of impressed with their guy on the interior, Zane Durant. He has 23 tackles, 3 sacks. He also had an interception this year, which I thought was pretty impressive for somebody on the interior.
Well, let me ask you this then. So, do you feel better now? Or do you have less concern with your stud pass rusher, whatever his name was, or this linebacker, with a mobile quarterback?
Yeah, and I mean, this isn't my endorsement to say TJ Lateef should be Nebraska's starting quarterback in 2026 by any means. But yes, I 100%, because you've seen last week, and even Dana said that today. He said that he thought it was the best offensive performance they had all season as a collective whole. And it proved that with the PFF grades, and just you could tell the first 4 possessions they all scored on.
Right. We're not harping on Dylan. It's just a different game, and so it makes it easier to block and easier to run. Does that make the game different for Emmett too?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen kind of the effect of that last week.
So is this hard? I'm going to ask you this one then. Is this harder for the defensive coordinator of Penn State with only one game's film to watch versus a virtual season with Dylan if they were coming into it?
Oh, you bet your ass. I mean, 100%. I agree there. Now, they definitely probably seen some things. Oh, he ain't going to be able to get away with that against us. I mean, like we stated numerous times, it's a very talented football team. It's just crumbling, but they still have the talent there. They hung with Indiana. They hung with Oregon. So, I mean, we will see this Saturday. Highly intrigued. I wouldn't be surprised if TJ Lateef struggles, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if TJ Lateef goes out there and has a solid performance and maybe even lights up, makes some game-changing plays as well. Anyway, though, let's turn to the next headline about Matt Rhule returning to his alma mater. Nebraska has him locked in, but he's going back home.
Well, I think it brings in a lot of emotion for him, for him and his family, I would think. So I think he's going to have the team more up than they were against, say, Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Minnesota. Minnesota's not they're the most overrated. I believe they're now 6-4 football team in the country, in my opinion. But yeah, Rhule has a ton of family. Of course, John Butler used to be Penn State's defensive coordinator. Both have really shot it down. They're really focused on the game. And Zaire Wright said today the coaching staff's done really well with the Pennsylvania ties that they have to not really bring that up, more so focus on just taking on Penn State. A fun fact is Rhule actually beat Penn State in Happy Valley 2015 as the head coach of Temple, 27-10.
See, you're not old enough, but I remember Penn State. An ass kicking by Penn State would be 13-7. So that goes back a long ways ago. Penn State's got a lot more explosive offense, and the game's entirely different than it used to be. But those were the Joe Paterno days. But anyway, if Nebraska can stay competitive in Happy Valley on a Saturday night game, I don't know what the weather's supposed to be like. Do you?
I'll check right now. You check that out, Jim. Penn State's actually, I believe they are still. So Penn State is ESPN has the betting odds. They are a 9.5 point favorite. Over under is 45 or 44.5. We'll get predictions at the end. But I'm highly intrigued just to see, how much the TV broadcast and everything kind of tries to promote that for it, because that's their main storyline they go off of this week.
Anyway, yeah. Well,
so Saturday is a high of 48,
and cloudy.
So by kickoff, it'll probably be around maybe mid-30s, you'd say.
Well, it shouldn't make that much difference because Penn State in Nebraska, I mean, both teams are used to playing in some inclement weather. So this should be nothing but good football for them.
Okay, next I want to turn to the Blackshirts. Of course, had another woe against UCLA defending a mobile quarterback. This time they don't have a mobile quarterback. Ethan Grunkmeyer is not. He does have 689 yards in the season, 4 touchdowns to 4 interceptions ratio. He's nothing special. John Butler said today that one thing he does really well that a lot of quarterbacks can't do is make those intermediate throws over the field. And he says that's kind of what separates a lot of quarterbacks. But at the same time, Penn State is built around their 2-star running backs, Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, which I was doing some mathematics, actually, and I found out that...
That's good. That's big.
Yeah, that is.
Your college, huh?
So of the offensive touchdowns that Nittany Lions have had this year, they account for 60% of them on the ground with them 2 running backs. 12 touchdowns from Allen, 9 from Singleton. Allen has 917 yards in the season, 5.6 yards per carry. He's 3rd in the Big Ten in rushing. As a team, they average 4.36 yards per carry as well. And Matt Rhule said on Monday, he said that they have one of the better offensive lines we'll see. So what does that make you think as somebody that's a spectator, and especially with Nebraska's rushing defense woes? I mean, last against UCLA, they allowed over 4 yards per carry against them.
I think you're going to see a lot of passes out of the backfield, short-term passes, passes to the running backs and stuff like that. I don't think you see anything over the top. So because they don't have to.
Well, I'm talking about Penn State's running.
No, but I think they're going to throw to running backs too, a lot.
Oh, especially against Nebraska's elite secondary.
Yes.
And that's, I mean, Nebraska should be able to avoid giving up the big play, but at the same time, I'm really concerned about Nebraska's ability to stop those 10-plus yard rushes. I mean, against USC, I believe they allowed 10-plus yard runs. And that was, and USC is a solid running team.
And we kind of have a nice little history of allowing the big run too. So I'm kind of worried about that. Now let's bring that up.
And you think it's going to turn into Wisconsin in 2014 when Melvin Gordon broke the record?
I hope not. I don't think so. I think John Butler's a better coach than we had then, a defensive coordinator. So
what was it? That was Papuchis, I believe, right? John Papuchis?
Yeah, it's a name that's been stricken from history.
Well, for the defensively, one thing I'm curious to see, it sounds like the Rhule said on Monday, Deshaun McCullough is full go. I'm curious, though, schematically, what they're going to line up wise. Are we going to see more of that Michigan-type defense where you were going out there selling out completely, or is it going to be that USC where you just stick to the 3-3-5? I think it's going to be more of a 4-down front, I'd expect, even if that is with your jack linebacker on the field instead of an extra defensive lineman. But at the same time, Butler said even with the secondary, they're going to have to sell out to stop the run there, too.
Well, I would think so. And I thought the game plan for UCLA defensively was, for us going against UCLA, was one of the better defensive game plans we've had. I don't know what you thought.
Against UCLA?
Yeah.
One thing I will take away is I thought the defense made stops when they needed to. That 4th-and-1 stop they made against UCLA, where they were, I believe, on Nebraska's 41-yard line or whatever it was, that was pivotal, and I think that was something people forgot about in that game. But at the same time, these teams running down Nebraska's throat all year, it's not something that I think people should forget about. And I get, yes, Nebraska hasn't allowed 400 yards of total offense to an opponent yet. At the same time, in the Big Ten, possessions are limited. Nebraska's only going to have probably 7 or 8 possessions in this football game this Saturday.
Makes you miss Ty, doesn't it? It does me.
We've reiterated this so many times, but the impact those two had was incredible for Nebraska's football team. And it goes to show you, I think what was interesting is Adam Carricker had Grant Wistrom on for an interview, so I listened to that. I believe they aired it on Sunday, and Grant Wistrom, where they were talking about scheme, 3-4-4-3. Both those guys are more of a 4-3 type of a fan. Grant Wistrom only played in a 4-3 defense. Adam Carricker played in both. Wistrom said he likes the 4-3 better because you're basically lining up to outman somebody versus a 3-4. You're trying to out-technique them with your scheme. I think that a 4-3 would benefit Nebraska more so because they don't have one guy in the nose that can plug that hole.
I would agree with that. They don't have any. Well, that's why there's so many of those short runs. You'll get Elijah will make a stop or somebody like that, but it's 3, 4, 5 yards downfield, and that's not a run stopper.
Not by any means. It's unclear if I'm going to have Sam on this week for our preview show, by the way. So I'm going to share my keys to the game of the day. Number one, stop the run. I think that's blatantly obvious for anybody that has followed Nebraska football this year. Number two, get your Doak Walker semifinalists the ball 25 times at least. And number three, let TJ drop back and run up the middle a few times. I think that 5 wide look spread Penn State's defense out, especially with Danny Dennis Sutton. Let him get upfield and run that quarterback draw a few times. I think that would benefit the Huskers quite a bit. And right now, so I talked about spread. Penn State's a 9.5-point favorite. I still think that Nebraska gets this victory, and I think this will be a great victory for Nebraska's football program. Although they're a 4-6 football team they are facing, this is still a very talented football team. Therefore, I think Nebraska not only covers, I think they win outright, 27-21 in Happy Valley.
If Jacory gets the ball, at least 6 times this game, it means that there's going to be some big plays. It's going to take some pressure off Emmett too. So if Jacory gets the ball 6 times this game, I think Nebraska plays them really close, if not beating them. But they're going to have to get Barney the ball, and he's going to have to make some big plays on returns too.
So are you taking the Huskers? Or are you going to go with the Nittany Lions?
I'm going to go with the Nittany Lions in a 2-point loss.
You got a score?
I got a score. What did I say? 2 points?
Yes, you did.
Oh God. Make it 3. I'll go 24-27.
Okay. How many rushing yards? I think the key is I said stop the run, but at the same time, if you know how much I like Nebraska's odds if they can hold Penn State under 120 rushing yards as a team?
We haven't held anybody to 120 yards. I don't see why we will them.
Well, at Michigan State they did. That was because of a lot of sack yards they got. But anyway, I want to look around the Big Ten as well. There are a couple games that I want to. The main game, actually, game day is going to is USC at Oregon. This is actually kind of a tough one to pick. I know Oregon on paper is a better football team, but I could see USC pulling this one out. It's a 2:30 kick. I'm still going to take the Ducks since it's in Eugene.
I really wanted Iowa to beat USC last week because that way Iowa we'd be playing them, and I think Iowa would be a ranked team. I'd like to get one more shot at a ranked team this season. But yeah, I think. Oh God, I hate calling University of Spoiled Children as a favorite. No, I think Oregon wins it.
Oregon? Iowa this week, they play Michigan State, which they should
throttle Michigan State.
I mean, Penn State, they just won their first conference game last week against them 28-10. That's why Nebraska against Michigan State, when they were struggling, and then Michigan State takes the lead in the third quarter, we were thinking, what the hell is going on? Because you knew Michigan State was not necessarily a great football team.
Isn't this fun this year, though, making your predictions and what our must-dos? It used to be last year a must-do was we're cheering for a good snap on an extra point or a punt or a field goal or something like that. Now we don't have – our special teams is playing solid. So let's give that one out there. We don't have to worry about the little minutia that should come along automatically.
Oh, I forgot. This is the annual SEC bye week that they implement in their schedules every year. You got Samford going to Texas A&M, Charlotte going to Georgia, Eastern Illinois at Bama, Mercer at Auburn. Wow. At least Coastal Carolina is going to South Carolina and Western Kentucky LSU. At least Tennessee is going to Florida this week. That's Tennessee's listed as a 4.5-point favorite on the road. I think they'll win. Florida they're kind of falling apart. The games this week aren't not that great around the country. Big 12 has Kansas, Iowa State. It has Kansas State at Utah might be somewhat of a game, just considering Kansas State sometimes can keep it close, but they are a 17.5-point dog. BYU does go to Cincinnati, who has kind of fell apart. They're now 7-3 as well as the Huskers, but they're going into Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati upsets BYU in that one.
Really? You're going to call Cincinnati over BYU? I won't do that. No. BYU is a pretty good team.
We're
Stormin' Mormons. That's what we called them.
Well, you got a Cougar versus a Bearcat. I'm taking the Bearcat in that fight.
Well, Cougar brings up good memories, so I guess I'm going to go with the Cougar.
I still got to air this. And I want to do this one just for the hell of it. Arizona State at Colorado.
Arizona State all the way.
Jeff Sims has been kind of tearing it up for them under center.
Let's go. Yeah,
he had over 200 rushing yards in his first start there.
Yeah, I mean, sticky finger Sims. So there you go.
Wow. All right. Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much for giving this a listen. Be sure once again to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow myself on Twitter, TikTok, and whatever else social media I'm on. Thank you guys. For Jim Parman and Bobby Schneider signing off.